Okay, now the recording's. It's like that awkward pause every time. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line. I'm one of your hosts, Emma, and I'm joined, as always, by the fantastic Marcie.
Hello. Also, I heard you say I am your host. You're like so close. She's like, I'm your host.
I'm one of your hosts. There's two of us. I do want to get just a slight bit of, I didn't actually consult Marcie on this, a slight bit of housekeeping out of the way. Just that if there is no episode on Thursday, do not be alarmed. You will still get 2 episodes this week. You just might not get it Thursday. You may just end up getting it Friday. If we do it Friday, it will be longer than it'll be longer. We'll make it longer for you guys. It's just both of us have busy schedules coming up. I'm nearing the end of finals for me, and I'm going home, and it's this whole thing, and Marcie's going out to see a show. So
Where are you going?
So
my mum, I didn't even have anything planned. I was like, right, I've got Thursday free, and then my mum texts me. She goes, "Oh, by the way, we're going to the theatre on Thursday," and I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, I just have a lot.
Thursday, why?
I have a lot going on Thursday. I'm like driving back home from Ottawa, and then I'm doing like my drive test, and then I'm like going out for dinner at a family friend's place. It's just we might not get our schedules to line up, and if we don't worry, you will get your episode on Friday. And then of course, obviously, like we're gonna end up in a mumble jumble of schedules. We're gonna try and get out 2 episodes a week until about January 8th, and then we'll hit the ground running, smooth running. We're going to get into a rhythm, and we're really excited about what we're going to get to do in the new year with the show and everything. So other than that, I think that's just all the housekeeping admin stuff that I wanted to get out of the way. But yeah, so let's talk about the Leafs first, and then we'll talk about some pretty major news in the NHL. I wrote this, I pre-write what goes in our show notes before we record because it's one less thing I have to worry about. And as a joke, I wrote something in and then something happened and we'll talk about it later. And I was like, oh, this is no longer, I've done something accidentally. But we'll start talking about the Leafs. We'll talk about Blue Jackets first. I guess we'll just go chronologically. As much as I want to talk about the Pittsburgh game, we'll talk about Columbus first and we'll speed run through it.
We have to get this out of the way.
We have to get this out of the way. Samsonov starts against the Blue Jackets. Still no Nyes out of the lineup. Still wasn't feeling out of the weather. From what I've heard what we've heard from multiple players, it's a pretty nasty bug that we've had going around through the team. Austin today in his media availability after Leafs practice said that it was he was throwing up. Nyes said he was bedridden for a couple days. TJ Brody apparently hasn't eaten anything for 3 days before today or something crazy like that. Whatever they have, I don't want.
Yeah. Also, I've just realized I never got the notification for the Leafs availability today. So I'm going to have to watch it afterwards.
I got it. Nothing really of note to come out of it except for Matthews did talk about the fact that he was throwing up before Saturday's game and then thought he would power through it and then didn't and went home. So I think if you're throwing up the morning of a game because you're not feeling well, I think that warrants not being in the lineup. But you're allowed to call in sick for work.
It's probably not a good sign that you're going to feel up to it.
Yeah. But we'll talk about that game in a little bit later and we'll talk. But yeah, so still no Nyes, but Reeves is back in the lineup, so they're back with the 12-6 lineup. I thought it was a clean start to the game. I have that written down just because there wasn't a lot of whistles early on in the game. I think both teams were able to cycle through all of their lines before a whistle happened, which you don't tend to see a lot in today's NHL. I feel like there's always something going on.
There's always someone.
Yeah, it was not a good first 2 periods by the Leafs. It was a breakdown on all aspects. It was a defensive breakdown. It was a goaltending breakdown. It was an offense. Everything was just falling. You could tell this team was sick. You could look on the bench and you're like, some of these guys don't look okay, right?
No, you're just half this team is 1 foot in the grave on the deathbed.
Yeah,
begging
Yeah.
to go on.
Yeah, you have to think, like, some of these guys are, like, really, like, we can assume everyone on this team has something. Some guys, it's just worse than others, and it's making its way through the lineup for sure, which we'll talk about the end of this game, and the fact that they were able to pull that off with how this is pretty good. But yeah, so Line A opens the scoring after a misplay in front of the net by Domi. That just wasn't good. And then, of course, also the big story of the game, Ryan Reeves goes down hurt after an awkward run into the boards. Lower body, some people, we never found out if it was knee or ankle.
No.
We just heard we could assume lower body, and then he fell down the stairs going down the tunnel. I was like, oh no. But of course, obviously, then the conversations, then you get everybody going, oh, Robidas Island, like, Leafs are doing this to put his, like, $1.5 million contract on LTIR, like, they're trying to circumvent the cap, and then turns out it's not actually that bad, and he doesn't need to go on LTIR for it, but we still actually don't know what it is. Considering how the Leafs then played, like, without Reeves in, like, for, like, 4 periods without him, because we won't count the second period, because that wasn't a good period. I think the Leafs are pretty good. It's not a big deal that he's out of the lineup right now.
No.
Obviously, not putting him on LTIR is kind of shitty for your cap situation, because it's a, 1.5 million is a lot of money, but,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Hope he gets better soon. It sucks being hurt, and it looks just like it was just some weird thing where it was awkward, and then he falls down the stairs. People get that on video, and that's never good. It reminds me of the time of when I was in high school, and I was taking, like, the attendance down to the office, and there's this set of, like, a half flight of stairs that I had to go down, and it was, like, winter or something, like, it was, like, slushy outside, so the floors were wet and my boots were wet, and I fully slipped and, like, lost my footing and, like, fell on my ass on the stairs, and I look up and there's a security camera staring me dead in the eye, and I was like, if that footage if that footage ever gets dug up, I'm sure it's long gone by now because I've been graduated high school for, like, 3 years, but if someone, like, I'm thinking about, like, if someone had to go through that footage from that day, like, specifically that camera, and they get the footage of me falling on my ass on the stairs, I'm going to be mortified. But it was, like, right in front of security camera. So I relate, like, mine wasn't broadcast on national television, but I do.
It still happened.
Like, not Hockey Night Canada. It was a regional broadcast, but, like, still unfortunate.
I had something similar happened to me. I can't remember. I mean, I must have been in, like, year 10 or something, and because we had, like, the locker room, so it was just, like, a big room of everyone's lockers. And I was just walking in there to, like, get some books out or something. And bear in mind, it's a completely flat floor, right? There's no step whatsoever. It is a flat floor. And I walk through the door, and I don't know what happens, but I just fall flat on my face. I was, like, land on the floor, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then, oh no, it's just Simon.
You have tweet notifications turned on for Simon? I don't even have that.
It's funny because I don't understand half the stuff he tweets, but I'm just like, it gives me a giggle.
He does make me giggle. Yeah.
No, so I fell, like, flat on my face. Like, it was like something out of, like, a movie.
That's
and, like, I had a bag of crisps and I fell on the crisps. They popped. They went everywhere. And then it's like when I stood up, like, I must have, like, genuinely landed, like, my knee straight on the floor because I was like, I could not walk. I was, like, limping to my locker away from the, like, suspicious pile of crisps. And that's unfortunate. Right underneath the security camera. So I really hope no one ever finds that because that was it was not good
I
for
mean,
me.
hopefully it's like long gone erased by now. Like,
Yeah, this is 2 schools ago. I should be fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Another thing that is a little bit unfortunate, not really for the Leafs, but well, yeah, Kent Johnson scores with the redirect to make it 2-0. But then Greedy by Tate McRae starts playing in the ACC, like in Scotiabank Arena. And for those who are unfamiliar with the lore, because this is kind of like this weird sort of thing where I went down a rabbit hole because I was mildly curious the other night. I couldn't fall asleep. I was mildly curious. I was like, how did Tate McRae and Columbus Blue Jackets, he's a forward, right? Yeah, forward. Cole Sillinger end up meeting? Because yes, they're both from Canada. They're both Canadian. But also, I'm like, where's the connection here? She's from Calgary. He's from Regina. He never played hockey in Calgary. Like, he was not drafted by Canadian. Like, he plays in Ohio. Like, she lives a lot in LA, I think, right now. Like, I was like, where's the connection? Turns out it was like her brother's friend was a friend of his, and that's how I don't fully know. But yeah, they dated. Then they broke up, and everyone's like, she's doing better in the NHL than he is, which is true because rumors have it that she's going to be at the All-Star game, probably as a celebrity co-captain for the player draft, which I think is cool. I think this is how you grow the game.
Funny as fuck.
It's so funny though that I was like, and there's this shot they shot. They then cut to the bench because, of course, the broadcast team knows what's going on. They cut to and they show Cole Sillinger sitting next to Patrick Laine, and was it Kent Johnson? Or was it was some other Blue Jackets player, and I can't remember who it is because I don't recognize the half of them. They all look the same except for like Patrick Laine. I'm like, I know who you are. He's got one of those faces where you're like, he's not like, he doesn't look like all the rest of them. And like, not in a bad way. It's just, most hockey players tend to look the same. He doesn't. So. But yeah, and Patrick Laine is obviously making fun of him for it. You can tell based on his like. Oh
yeah, just like giggling away.
Oh my god! But it was a thing where I was like, the Scotiabank Arena or ACC, I still call it the ACC sometimes. The Scotiabank Arena DJ knows what's up. He had an opportunity, and he took it, and I applaud him for that.
Yes, like that really is like being one of the girls.
yeah. He probably like the Leafs play Columbus like twice, I think more in the next like 6 games or something ridiculous. It's like they play them their last game before Christmas, and then they play them their like second game after Christmas. It's like this. I'm like this. The teams that we play, like the end of December, beginning of January. It's like 6 different teams. I was like, who's making this schedule? Who's doing this? Because it's a choice for sure. But yeah, then I just have Gregor, because Gregor was on the top line, and then he gets moved to the third line at this point in the game. I guess also like the lines are just in a blender at this point because you're down a forward. As much as Reeves, wouldn't be moving off of the fourth line. It's just you have to shuffle everyone around, and you're double shifting guys and everywhere. But I did notice that Gregor came off sort of the top line and wasn't out there as much with those guys. Couple good chances, and then I also have a note on the Leafs turnovers in this game. There was like an absurd amount of them where I was like, what are you doing? But I also noticed. Yeah, then Blue Jackets score 3 more goals in Danforth, Chinnikov, and Gaudreau to make it 5-0. And then McCabe, just to make things worse, McCabe and Timmins run into each other mid-ice, and McCabe has to go down the tunnel for repairs.
I think it was at that point that I was like, maybe I should just go to bed.
That was the point where I said, I was like, maybe I should just switch to the Wild game, because the Wild were playing it at the same time. I was like, you know what? Maybe I just switch games. I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I'm glad I did continue to watch it. And I was like, you know what? No, it's fine. I will battle this game out, because both of us were like, we're not going to watch this game anymore. And we're like, one of us has to watch it.
Yeah. No, I was like, because bear in mind, it was like, what, 2 a.m. at this point?
For you,
I had
yeah.
a 9 a.m. lecture. I had to be up for like 7 at the latest. I was like, I'm not being funny. We're 5-0 down. This is fucking miserable.
Yeah.
I'm a bit tired. So I was like, I switched it off and then I was like sat on my phone for a bit because I was like, oh, I'll just like scroll through Twitter. And then I started getting the notifications that people were scoring. And I was like, okay, where were these Leafs for the last 40 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. So yeah, there was boos. The Leafs, the crowd booed the Leafs at the end of the second. I actually had a friend also at this game too. Like a friend of mine from skiing was at this game, and I texted him after. I was like, "Well, that was a good game to go to." Like I texted him at like the end of regulation. I was like, "Well, this is a good game for you to be at." And he was like, "Yeah, it is." And then, but yeah. So I just have thank you, William Nylander, because we're not shut out. Which at that point in the game, I was like, "It's fine. We didn't get shut out. I will take this as a win."
I'm like, it's fine.
This is fine. Half the team is sick. Like, this is fine. It's a game in December. It doesn't matter. And then Mitch Marner to make it 5-2. And like also that Nylander goal was like your Nylander goal, right? It was one of those ones where it was just like it was a classic Nylander goal.
Yeah.
Out on a knee. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
And then Marner gets one to make it 5-2. Jake McCabe, offensive powerhouse? Question mark to make it 5-3.
How has this happened?
He started out the season really, really bad. He started out the season, people were like, we should not have him. Get him off the lineup. He's awful. He's awful. He's the reason we're losing games. And he's turned it around and has been playing phenomenal hockey in both directions. His offensive game, I don't know. Hold on. I actually do want to check his stats for a quick second. Well, I continue to talk about it, but like his offensive game has been insane.
Yeah, he really has, like, over the last few weeks, he really has just heard me saying that I keep forgetting that he exists. And then, like, the last, like, 10 days, he's just gone, you know what, fuck that. I'm going to start fighting. I'm going to start being good. So maybe I should just hate on people more often. Like, if one of your favourite players has been a bit shit, just, like, let me know and I'll complain about them. And then they'll be like, I'm not having that bitch complain about me.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I thought he had been scoring more goals than he actually did, because I swear I've been saying that he has been. Because it says so far, I'm at Hockey DB, and it says he only has 1 goal in 22 games. I feel like I'm looking at something. I'm not looking at the NHL website, though.
Is he on 7 assists?
7 assists, so yeah, 7 assists for a total of 8 points in 22 games, which I think is pretty good for considering the slow start that he had to the season.
Yeah.
But I am excited to see him like really take off. Especially, he has been getting like increased minutes and stuff as well. But yeah, and then Austin Matthews to make it 5-4, and now we have a game, right?
Yeah.
Now it's oh, okay. And then this is my exact direct quote that I had in my notes that I had in my phone that I transferred word to word into my notebook is, what the actual fuckity fuck, Austin Matthews is an animal, 5-5, to tie it up. The Leafs have been unreal on 6-on-5. I don't know like if there's a stat, there probably is, and we just don't know where to find it. But the Leafs, I feel like, have been unreal on 6-on-5. And they tied the game with like 10 seconds left.
It was last 10 seconds, I think.
Yeah.
But so I was getting really annoyed because when they started scoring again, I was like, right, fine, let me just get my laptop back out. My Wi-Fi was broken.
Oh no.
The Leafs were playing that badly that my Wi-Fi decided to break. So I was like sat there. I'd got it like on the little mini player on my phone whilst I was like scrolling through Twitter, just like watching the last 15 minutes, and I was like, this sums up being a Leafs fan.
Like the things you're willing to go through. But yeah. So then we go to overtime. Nylander has a good chance in OT. I think that was probably the closest Leafs chance that they had in that overtime was that that Nylander attempt. And then just Kent Johnson the other way wins in an OT over the top of Samsonov's like right shoulder. If that doesn't sum up the Leafs season, I don't know what does.
Fucking course it did.
You know, if we want to take something good out of this, Leafs are the third team in NHL history to earn a point despite being down 5-0 or worse going into the third period. The last time it was done was a game of Calgary versus Toronto in 1987, and again in LA versus Edmonton in 1982.
Look at us go.
That's a fun little stat.
Records.
Another thing as well is those two Austin Matthews goals puts him tied, I think currently tied for goal scoring, most goals league-wide, unless Brock Besser has decided to, again, make it Chicago's problem. I think Brock Besser's, are they still tied? I think they are.
I think.
Because Brock Besser's an animal.
Oh my, he's insane. I love it.
He heard that Matthews was out of the lineup on Saturday and decided to make it Chicago's problem.
Oh, yeah. He was like, well, there's my chance. And he took it.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have anything more to add on that game. I do want to spend so much time, though, talking about Leafs versus Penguins because...
Oh, my God. I have so many notes.
I actually don't have a lot of notes on this game because I was at like a Christmas party during this game, and I was sitting there watching this game on my phone in my lap at this holiday party with the volume on mute. So I can tell you a lot about the goals. I can't tell you a lot about like the Leafs individual play, and like I can sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, they have been playing pretty good. It's just because I only would catch the big moments because I was like watching on my tiny little screen, and I was like, I can't. But
I'm not gonna say,
that's how committed I am to this team.
Look at you. When I say I have a lot of notes, it's a lot of me. I've just got a Bobby McMahon belt in all caps.
Oh my God. We can talk about Bobby McMahon at length. We're so happy for him. Okay, so to start off, Liljegren is back in the lineup for the first time since November 5th, where he suffered a high ankle strain after a tripped can opener by Brad Marchand against Boston. This also, I think, provides us a pretty good timeline for when we could expect to see Cole back in the lineup. I know it's two different possession players, so of course maybe the healing process is slightly different in what they have to be healed enough to play on, but it gives us a rough estimate as to when we could see Wool again back playing games. You know, sometime in January.
Fingers crossed, but like it's also a good sign, like the fact that Liljegren was healed well enough to play as many minutes as he did, because they worked him to the bone. Like if they know if he's back healthy and like capable of doing that, then that's a good sign rather than him being back and like playing like.
Well, he was like his ankle was solid enough for him to play versus the Blue Jackets. It's just his conditioning. That they wanted to give him an extra game, which okay. But just to note, in order to reactivate Liljegren off of LTIR, they did have to place Giordano on LTIR. Now, unsure of if that's retroactive to when he got injured or what. He was, however, skating at a practice recently. So we still have no timeline for his return. It is, again, broken finger, so it's nothing too crazy. It's just one of those things where it's like kind of hard to play hockey when you can't actually bend your finger to grip a stick.
It causes a few problems.
Yeah, so TJ Brody and Matthews out, which means that means Keefe was having fun with his line blender. I was like, it was so funny because we weren't getting the lines until the game had already started. And I tweeted out as a joke, I was like, you know, these lines are so crazy that like even Leafs admin doesn't even know what they are. And it was like, actually, I really, really loved watching the Nyes Domi Marner line.
Yeah.
Obviously, Marner and Domi have history. They were on the Knights together in 2015. So they have that chemistry that goes back all the way back to, you know, their junior days. And, you know, like Austin Matthews once said, the OHL is a cult.
Yep.
But I thought that was fun, and we can talk about Nyes. I want to talk about Nyes. I am so happy that Nyes remembers that he's 6'3" and 220 pounds because
he's insane.
So Jones gets the start. I think it was like the fourth line was essentially the Toronto Marlies at the start of the season, because it was what, McMahon, Holmberg, Robertson. That's like what, like that's your Marlies top line in October this year, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm pretty sure that was a line that the Marlies put out at one point or another.
It was definitely Robertson and Holmberg. I think McMahon was there too on the top line.
I was like trying to, who would be their other winger?
I'll have to check. And
then third line was Gregor, Kampf, Yarncroke, and then your second line was Nylander, Tavares. Sorry, I'm trying to think of what forward I'm missing. I'm missing one.
Who are we missing?
I'm missing a forward. I'm missing a forward off of. Why am I missing I'm short. Hold on. I'm like trying to think. I was like, I'm missing a forward. Hold on. I'm gonna feel really bad for the forward that I end up forgetting too. Like it's gonna be really bad.
I'm sure. Who was it? Even I've forgotten.
Oh my god, it's Bertuzzi. Apologies to Tyler Bertuzzi that I forgot that he existed.
No, I was just talking about him earlier as well to my mom.
No, because the thing that's really annoying too is he's at the top of the impact card for that game as well.
He had a
really good game. He didn't score, but he had a really good game.
I was sat there thinking, right, well, whoever we've forgotten clearly had like a very mid game.
No, we were doing Tyler Bertuzzi. You had a great game. Oh my god. Okay, that was actually really embarrassing. That's another one of those things where it's like that's gonna get at some point someone's gonna clip that and put that with all my other things that I've said on this show.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll start with the game. Matthew Nyes with a gorgeous goal. Like
beautiful,
sexy goal to open up the scoring. And then like 2 minutes later, he fights Ludwig after a uncalled high stick to Max Domi. His first career fight.
What? I was like on the edge of my seat.
He was asked about it after the game. He was asked about it after the game by media, and he said, and I quote, I'm trying to find the tweet actually, sorry. I'm trying to find it. He said he blacked out.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, where is it?
I'm trying to find it. He said something about like he blacked out, and like doesn't remember. He just started swinging and wanted to make contact. And he won the fight. He also, pretty sure he's bigger than John Ludwig. Right?
Yeah,
I don't know how big John Ludwig is. Ludwig. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing it. John Ludwig. I have it. Yeah, 6'1", 213. Yeah, so Matthew Nyes is bigger. But yeah, so it was great. And I even Domi lost a tooth too, as well, from that high stick. He lost another one of his front teeth, so now he's like missing 3, and so now his little like pop-in veneers retainer thing.
It's not even.
It's not even like it doesn't even fill in all his teeth.
No.
But he had a cheeky little comment after though with the media. He was asked about it. He was like, and they're like, oh, like, did you lose a tooth? He was like, yeah, and they're like, where? And he just smiles and he's like, here.
Oh god, I do love him.
Honestly though, like I think not to say that like the guys who have been on this team for a while are not comfortable with Toronto media, but it is really refreshing to see a guy like Domi come in, come in and be new to the team and already be like this comfortable with the media. And I think part of that is because he did spend some time playing in Montreal, where the media is just as crazy, if not worse, because hockey is also their tabloids. Like the French tabloids talk about hockey players. I went to Montreal and I would go into this like corner store. I went into this corner store when I was in Montreal earlier this year, and literally on the cash register it was like this tabloid looking magazine. It was a tabloid. It was a tabloid magazine, and on the front was like fucking like a Habs player. I don't remember who it was. It probably was like Gallagher or something, but like on the front, and it was like talking about his like personal. I was like, whoa, because that's like the French media, right? Hockey is crazy there in Montreal. It's like a religion. It's actually insane. But yeah, so I think maybe he's also grew up in Toronto with his dad playing, so he's just kind of, you know, used to being in that environment and just how it is, and can get firsthand advice from good old pops about it. But yeah, nice fight. We're like 5 minutes into the first period or something, I think, at this point, and he's already like 2/3 of the way through the hat trick. Like,
I'm like, he's insane.
And this is where I want to talk about Matthew Knies a little bit. Like him and Austin Matthews, like of course Matthews didn't play in this game, but like both of them have been figuring out that have been reminded by someone that they are big and that they use that. And I think, you know, part of like Knies' size has always been a part of his game. He's really good in the battles along the boards and, you know, being that top big body on that, you know, top line now. But I do think like we're starting to see him. Maybe it's just a confidence thing. Like he's gaining more confidence the more games he plays in NHL of like, yeah, he can throw hits. He can fight guys. And it's like he said himself, he never fought in college because they had the cages. So it's kind of hard to, unless like Joseph Wool kicking a guy. But, you know, like, what'd you get? That's a great clip. I love that.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to remind myself to go watch it again after this.
If you haven't seen the clip of Joseph Wool kicking a player in a college game when he was with Boston College, it's fantastic. It's like fully in front of like 3 refs and like net front like scrum sort of thing after the play is blown dead, and he takes like a full swing, like leg go. It's not like a little like nudge. It's a full soccer like kick with like a physical, like a very visible backswing and a follow through, and it's like, and then afterwards as he's getting like pulled off, because there's like 3 seconds left, as they're like taking him off the ice, he like looks around like, what did I do?
And he's like, oh, what did I do?
I'm out of the game or whatever, and it's like, oh my, it's
like,
the funniest.
Please.
Well, I think we'll link it in the show notes just because it's kind of hard to find. But yeah, so
I found it.
We'll link it in the show notes because it's kind of hard to find. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of like a physical game from both sides. I also do want to, while we're talking about the Knies fight, the cut from the Knies fight and then Max Domi, whatever, to fucking Kyle Dubas and Jason Spezza in the press box. Fantastic broadcasting. That was great by Sportsnet on that one. That was fantastic. I greatly appreciated that. That was hilarious. You have like Kyle Dubas like just looking like annoyed. I don't know. It's Kyle Dubas, and then you have like Jason Spezza, like eyes wide, like he's like,
he's just like,
he's like, oh,
he's sort of just regretting a lot of things.
He's like, oh, now they stand up for each other. It was me doing this. But yeah, and then there's another line brawl after a Benoit cross-check. Again, physical game. And then Mitch Marner scores to make it 2-0, and then they cut to a very pissed off Sidney Crosby. And then the moment we've all been waiting for, we have Bobby McMahon's first NHL goal. 3-0, and it is a gorgeous goal. It is off a Pontus Holmberg rebound in front of the net, and he just takes it, snipes it right over Tristan Yarry's shoulder.
Beautiful.
Very, very nice. Beautiful. That's his first NHL goal, which is really great for him. I remember the game when his first quote unquote goal got called back. I remember because I was watching that game and I was so upset. So mad. It was against Detroit, and I don't even remember what it was called back for. Probably like a long, like a very like an offside that was long, like way before the actual goal. But yeah, so Bobby McMahon.
I'd spent like the 5 minutes before he scored. I was like, I can't remember what I was doing, but I was like, all right, after this, I need to tweet like my little Bobby McMahon goal manifestation. And I was typing it. And he scores. And
you went to your draft so quick and you were like pulling. So for those who don't know, Marcie, if you don't know, Marcie, tell everyone what Bobby McMahon's full government name is.
Oh fuck! Wait, where did it go? I was thinking about it earlier. Now I forgot it. My mind's gone blank.
It's like what?
It's wait. Robert William Lucas McMahon. And I know that because it has been saved in my drafts for about a week. Because I was preparing.
Yeah, it was saved waiting for his first NHL goal. And it happened. And we're so very proud. Bobby McMahon, undrafted out of college, signed a contract with the Marlies in 2020, an AHL contract, has made his way up the lineup and is now playing somewhat regular NHL games and has his first NHL goal. The funniest thing about him, though, still uses his college backpack on road trips. Like his student-athlete college backpack from Colgate College, yeah.
But you know, it's so real for that because I, too, have an emotional support rucksack.
I
take everywhere with me.
The backpack that I have, I got for free from skiing about... Was I racing? I think. Or it's at least 4 years old at this point. I'm trying to remember if I'm still racing.
Mine is like... It's my hockey one. So it's like, it's got room for like my stick and stuff. So it's like, I take that to like training and stuff. And then it's like, when I get back from training, I empty it and I put all my uni stuff in it. And it's just like, it goes everywhere with me.
Yeah, like in his defense, he's it's like an Adidas one. And my roommate has one of those because she's a student athlete. And it's like, they are nice quality. They last a while. Like, they're a nice, sturdy backpack. But, yeah, I just think it's so funny. Because, like, all the other guys have these, like, nice, like, leather designer backpacks. And then there's Bobby McMahon with his little college. But, yeah, maybe this is his, like, little gift to himself. Maybe he's him getting a new backpack for scoring his first NHL goal. Who knows? But, yeah, he gets the puck. He gets the puck, obviously. Says it's going to go to his parents' living room in Wainwright, Alberta, on the mantle probably. And then he also gets the belt from this game. And spoiler alert, the Leafs win. But he also gets the belt, and he also gets the Hockey Night in Canada towel as well, which is pretty special. What did your phone just buzz with?
Oh no, it was just an AO3 update.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking like, who's posted what?
Okay. But yeah, then Max Domi, with his dad in the building. Ty Domi was in the building for this game. They cut to him after this goal, but yeah, so that also nice with the assist on the goal to get the Gordie Howe hat trick, making it the first by a Leaf since February 21st, 2015, scored by Daniel Winnick. So there has not been a Gordie Howe hat trick in the Matthews, Marner, Nylander era. Which is insane. That's insane. That's like one of those crazy stats. It's also the first like Leafs rookie to get the Gordie Howe hat trick since Matt Fratton on April 3rd, 2012 against Buffalo, according to NHL stats.
Look at him go.
Yeah. So that's crazy. Good for him. Honestly, he had a great, again, reminder, he can be a physical player, and I think that's a huge asset for this team. So for all those people who at the start of the season were saying to trade him, I was like, I was like, who? There's some crazy trades out there. If you go on like Cap Friendly and look at the mock trades, they're insane. They're craziness.
No,
There's
I saw. I can't remember what it was.
For like trade like Nylander and Cohen for like, I don't know, fucking Rasmus Ristolainen or something. I was like, why are we doing that?
No shit. It's like if I ever get like really bored and like I just want to make myself angry, I will literally. I just go look at the mock trades and I just be like, what games are these people watching to like justify these trades? Because it's not the ones that I am.
Well, exactly. Like, also as well, apparently this has caused, now we're sort of off topic, but just on the topic of we were talking about trades and the Leafs, this apparently has caused frustration among NHL GMs, is that Brad Treliving is unwilling to trade Fraser Mitten and Easton Cohen and has said they're off the table, nothing for them. Like, you cannot touch these guys. These guys are staying, which honestly is great. I think that's great for the future of this team. I think that puts us in such a solid place prospect-wise, and I'm trying to, like, yeah, we've had some exciting prospects come up, but I'm trying to, like, think of, like, I guess Robertson, Matthew Nyes, I guess would probably also be, like, in the same sort. So it hasn't been that long since we've had prospects that have been, like, this exciting, but, like, also, like, what the World Juniors hype around these guys, I'm like, it's, like, that little bit extra of, like, little extra exciting. But yeah, so after the Max Domi goal, Tristan Jarry's out, and Nedeljkovic, I'm trying to say his name right. Oh my god, I suck with these Eastern European names. Nedeljkovic? This is actually so bad that I don't know how to say it. Goes in. So yeah, then John Tavares on the power play to make it 5-0. And then Noah Gregor on the power play with a second left to make it 6-0 at some point. And now this is when you know that Sheldon Keefe is just having fun out there, and he's like, "Who gives a fuck?" and is rubbing it in rubbing this game in Mike Sullivan's face. Is when he puts out as a Leafs power play Gregor, Kampf, and Jarnkrog. What is this? What is this insanity?
I saw that and I was like, he is not just done that. I was like, that's fully just been like,
that's playing with your food. That's playing with your food.
Yeah, like it's giving like he literally just like pulled names out of a hat. It was like, right guys, first three out.
Yeah, he was like eeny meeny miny mowing off the bench to send guys out. Like at this point, which honestly, like, it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't talked a lot about the Penguins. They weren't playing great.
No.
Letang was mad. Letang was frustrated, and you could see it in his body language. Malkin was like, he didn't care anymore at the end of the game. Like, did you see him get a penalty? Did you see him get a penalty? And he like was like whatever.
Yeah, I'm off.
Like, whatever. Like, they truly do not care. They did not, like, by the end of that game, they were like, I just want this to be over, because honestly, at the same time, like, this is a beating to, like, seal the deal. William Nylander scores to make it 7-0. Just to really, you know, push him in. Like, you know, just fucking.
Oh, God.
But yeah, so I don't know if you have anything more to add on this game. I just, like, this game was so fun to watch, honestly. And I was half watching it, but.
Yeah, I have got here that Max Domi got 3 points in less than, I think it was 25 minutes, and I pressed 3 instead because, and then like that's probably like what 4 minutes actually on the ice, and he's got like 3 points, and it's like he's insane.
Do you want to hear a wild stat that I just thought of?
Yes.
In the past 4 periods of regulation, so like past 4 periods of regulation, the Leafs have scored 12 unanswered goals.
Fuck off. What? They're insane.
Yeah, and guess who the Leafs play tomorrow? The New York Rangers. Again. This time at home. I don't know. I have a feeling that maybe Shesterkin won't be in net. It may be Jonathan Quick. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then again, Sabres on Thursday. Just want to. We're going all the way to Thursday's game because we don't know if we're gonna do an episode on Thursday. Sabres are still without Jeff Skinner, so they're, missing a pretty high goal scorer for them as well. But then for tomorrow's game, TJ Brody will be a game time decision. He skated a little bit today at practice and then left. And like we said, like Matthew said he was throwing up. Nye said he spent like a couple days in bed, like bedridden. TJ Brody said he hadn't like breakfast today was his first real meal in like 3 days. So we'll probably see Matthews back in the lineup. He still looked a little bit like sickly in his media availability today. Again, could just be the lighting, but I don't think it was. And then TJ Brody, game time decision. Apparently, Keefe says he's expected to play. We'll see how likely that is. Who knows? But yeah, so
who knows?
I mean, things are looking not bad for the Leafs right now. In their last 15 games.
Fuck you, I was about to say that.
I stole your stat.
Fuck you.
In the last 15 games, so this dates back to pre-Sweden. This dates back to what, like November 5th or the 10th or something like that? It's before my birthday. I know that. It's like pre-Sweden. The Leafs are 10, 1-5. Which is insane. That's insanity.
That was my stat.
Sorry, they've only lost once in regulation in the last 15 games.
I think that's
crazy.
Insane.
That's craziness. The Leafs are like, so before they were, oh my God. Anyways, I didn't want to talk about this article just because it pissed me off, and I can't believe he's like digging his own grave on this. Jonas Siegel released an article for The Athletic. He's a writer for The Athletic, essentially saying that like the Leafs like third line is like their downfall. I was like, what the fuck hockey are you watching? He was like something about like Max, he like is like the weak spot and like isn't deserving of being a 3C. Did you watch Dallas in the playoffs last year? He was fantastic for them. Yeah. Are you watching these games? Like, what? What the fuck? Like, if you're like, if he's basing this off of the first 2 periods of the game against Columbus, everyone looks bad those first 2 periods against Columbus.
No one had a good game against Columbus.
No one had a good game those first 2 periods against Columbus. I do think, though, like, it was, like, one of those things where it's, like, just, okay, you're writing shit to stir shit up and to be like, because you, of course, no one wants to read about how a team is good. They want to read just about how bad they are. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, but you know what? Leafs are playing great right now. It's fun to be a Leafs fan right now because they're playing great. They are, though. Their West Coast road trip is upcoming, and I don't like the West Coast road trip because I don't like staying up late. And it's not even that bad for me because Marcie just gave me a look of like, can you find those 10 o'clock games start for me, right?
It's like, oh, I don't like these lickers. They don't start till 3 a.m. for me. 3 o'clock in the morning.
So I might be the only one talking about the West Coast road trip when it comes up.
I will very much be watching the highlights
the next day.
The LFR next day.
Oh God. Actually, no, the LFR against for the Pittsburgh game was actually really great. Watching the LFR.
I love like literally the next morning after every game, like when I'm getting ready for uni.
I watch it while I drink my morning coffee every day. Is the LFR?
Yeah, it's a little like wake up because it's for once I'm not the one getting really angry, stressed, and yelling all the time. I get to watch someone else do that for once.
Yeah, no, but yeah, it's a habit I started when I was in first year. I would sit and eat breakfast by myself in the dining hall, and I'd watch the LFRs while I ate breakfast. It's great. And I still do it now. But yeah, so we're moving on from the Leafs, and we're going to start talking about the other Ontario team. Ottawa Senators today announced around 2 o'clock today, so like an hour and a bit ago, that they have fired head coach G.J. Smith, and they have named Jack Martin as interim head coach. Just of note, Jack Martin was who they hired as a coaching advisor. We talked about it a couple of episodes ago. So they hired him a couple weeks ago. And Daniel Alfredson, Sens legend Daniel Alfredsson as assistant coach. Now, this news was broken to me not by Elliot Friedman, but by my boyfriend Simon, who grew up, watching. He watched the Sens until like 2017, until they stopped making the playoffs. And he was very excited about this news. I got multiple all caps text messages from him. But yeah, so Simon is officially an NHL insider because he broke the news to me before Elliot Friedman's tweet notifications did.
Yeah, like at this point, who even is Elliot Friedman?
Simon's replacement. Elliot Friedman. But yeah, so that was from the Sens official Twitter. Just some stats. The Sens are 11-15-0 on the season, and in their last 10 are 3-7-0. They play Arizona Tuesday on the road. So the Senators practiced this morning. DJ Smith ran Senators practice this morning in Arizona and was fired a couple hours later. Imagine being fired on the road, though.
Oh, that sucks.
That would be, because you have to like take a flight. Like, you're not flying back on the team plane.
No.
You have to fly. You have to take like yeah. That's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. Anyways, yeah. Yeah, so assistant, in addition to Smith, assistant coach Davis Payne has also been relieved of his role. The remaining members of the coaching staff have been retained. So the team also announced that and the franchise all-time points leader, Daniel Alfredsson, is joining Martin's staff as an assistant coach. Martin will make his return to the Ottawa bench when the team visits the Arizona Coyotes on Tuesday. Alfredsson will resume the on-bench role. So as we said when we announced Martin's hiring as like a coaching advisor for the Senators, he was a previous head coach. He was the third head coach in team history. In 96, he was hired. He spent 9 seasons with the Senators and posted a 341, 255, and 96, which is a .562 percentage regular season record with the franchise ahead of its return to the organization. Set to become the second head coach to make a return to the Senators bench. Martin remains the team's all-time leader in games coached, regular season wins, playoff wins, and playoff games coached. Yeah, so there will be. Apparently, there's a media availability this afternoon where Seos will connect from Arizona via Zoom, but no details. I haven't seen anything from that as of yet. I also just haven't been checking my. But yeah, so DJ Smith makes what, like the fourth coach fired during the season, 5th if you include Mike Babcock, but like, does he really count because he never actually ended up coaching a game at all? But that's still not the record, because I looked it up for last episode and then never said it. That's still not the season record for most coaches fired in a single season in the NHL. That record is 9. I looked it up. I was like, I want to know. And I believe it's 9. It was like, I can actually tell you the actual season. If I can open up a certain page. So this is from, yeah, but I looked it up because I was like, this is interesting. But yeah, the record is 9, which happened in 1981-82. Which at the time, because of the way things were, do you want to know the share percentage of that? Like the percentage of coaches because of the size of the league? 43%. Because of how many teams there were, right? Like 9 in 1981.
Oh my god. That's insane. There was what? How many teams were there?
21. So like, yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. Pretty. Anyways, that's a fun little fun little stat that I discovered. But yeah, I don't know if you have anything. I mean, obviously, as someone who lives in Ottawa, like the perspective here in Ottawa is that DJ Smith should have been fired a long time ago this season. I feel like it's a long time coming, and it's something that I get. There was multiple moves in place, I think, by the front office from the Senators to kind of like not make it so obvious that they were looking at, but like kind of, you know, give DJ Smith like a little kick in the ass to be like, hey, look at what we're doing. We're hiring Daniel Alfredson as a coaching role, right? Which he's beloved by the franchise, like beloved by fans. Like Ottawa fans worship this man. And then also hiring Jack Martin as a like a coaching, like as someone to add to the coaching staff to be like, hey, look, probably as a message of like, hey, we have someone who could replace you right now. And I think their losses have just been too much for this team. And I think, you know, hopefully we see, because there's a really they don't have an awful lineup. Their roster is pretty solid. Like, yeah, they're still missing Shabbat due to injury and Shane Pinto due to you know, A, not having a contract, and B, being suspended. But also, fun fact, Shabbat and Shane Pinto were at a Christmas market together earlier this week. Well, the team was playing, I think it was Dallas they were playing, and they... But yeah, so I don't know if you have anything to add on that. That was just some fun news that... Yeah,
that I don't follow the Sens, like, at all.
So as local Sens, I don't want to say correspondent. There we go. There's a better.
There we go.
Okay. Do we want to talk about the other biggest NHL news of the season?
Yeah, I think.
Which is NHL app got an update.
Finally,
has come early for us. The app, the website, everything sucks. It's awful. It sucks. I don't know who decided it was good, because the NHL app last year was great. I loved using it last year.
Oh.
I would only really use Sportsnet because I was able to get like my baseball scores and my hockey scores in the same place, and that's why I use Sportsnet. And now, like last year, then I used the NHL app more because I found it was easier for me to look at stats and rosters and whatever, and it was easier for me to navigate to specific games and all that stuff. But then they updated it for this season, and then it sucked. The schedule was awful. You could only look at a week at a time, but you couldn't swipe between the weeks. You had to hit the
It made me so mad because like last season, because like most games for me start at midnight, so it was, if it said like on the 3rd at midnight, that'd mean like coming into the 3rd from the 2nd. And then this season they went, oh, you know what, we're just gonna completely fuck it up. So now if it said no, ignore what I've just said. It was like, if it said it starts at midnight on the 3rd, that's like midnight on the night of the 3rd, which, you know, makes sense for me because it's like, it's in the evening, I've not been to sleep yet, it's still the 3rd. And then they changed it, so it was like, now if it says midnight on the 3rd, it's going to be like from the 2nd to the 3rd, like coming in that evening. And I'm like, it really confused me because I wrote out like a month's worth of games in my diary before I realised. So I had to go through, cross it all out, and then just move everything on a day. And it made my life miserable because then I just had like a month in my planner where it just looked really messy.
That sucks, but yeah, so it's also just like so much better now to look at. You can look at like full months, and you can click on individual days by month, and and you can swipe between weeks. Oh, it's fantastic. It's great. It's wonderful. I love it. It also, like, when you look at the full month breakdown and you're like, holy shit, we go, like, there's some parts in this year where there's literally only one game being played. Why? Who's scheduling? Yeah, unfortunate for the Golden Knights and the Kraken, who have to play a 3 p.m. actually, no, that's a noon. That game is at noon on New Year's Day.
Oh.
That's on, and they are the only game that day. Mind you, this is also in the midst of World Juniors, but yeah, they are the only game that day.
Yeah, that's a 8 p.m. game for me, which means I'm gonna sit down and watch it with my parents.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. Why there's so many where there's only like one game getting played. Anyway, yeah, so unfortunate. But I think maybe part of that has to do with the fact that it's a Monday and also football. So
yeah.
But again, that game is still at noon, and I think they play football games as early as like 9:30 in the morning or something stupid. But yeah, but yeah, that's a big update. I think this is probably the biggest NHL news of the season is the update, the app getting updated, because you can now
it's like the classic.
What?
On New Year's, my brain's fried at the moment because I was looking at it thinking, why would they have a game that early? And then it's just like, it's the Winter Classic, of course.
Oh my God, that's why. I was like, why are they only one game?
Because I was sat and I was like because I've been like building up. I was like, all right, I'm gonna, like, me and my whole family are gonna sit down and watch it, and I've been like really looking forward to it because there's like hardly ever any early games to me.
This is proof that the NHL doesn't actually market their games well enough, because I knew the Winter Classic was coming up. I forgot it was the Winter Classic. Wait, I forgot that we have, because then there's also a Stadium Series as well. Like, sorry, I'm just frustrated with the way that the NHL markets their big ticket games, like the Winter Classic and the Stadium Series games. And we have there's we've had, I think there's 3 outdoor games this year, or like 2 outdoor games, because then there's like 2 games getting played, and then there's a Jonas Brother concert, and anyways.
Yeah, like, I'm not being funny. I've literally just had to Google who's playing in the Stadium Series.
It's New Jersey and what? Philadelphia. Wow. Isn't there 2 of those? Because then isn't there also the Isles and the Rangers are playing?
Because
I thought it was like all.
If this isn't a wake-up call for the NHL to fucking start advertising things.
Here you go. Yes, there is. February 18th at MetLife Stadium Series. Yeah, so there's 2 games. See, this is not a wake-up. Like, we also, we actively follow the NHL, and we have a show about we talk about hockey all the time. We tweet about hockey all the time. Like, that sort of thing. Like, everyone who knows me knows, if you need a question asked about Leafs and hockey in general, ask Emma. I had both of my parents ask me where did Martin Jones come from on Saturday. My dad asked me, and I was like explaining where we got him from. But yeah, and the fact that we just, it's okay, we know whatever. I'm like, just, I don't know. I just feel like there could be, and this is just on the part of the fact that, okay, yeah, we got the Jonas Brothers, but Anyways, enough. We'll probably talk about the Winter Classic in a couple of days anyways. But yeah, do we want to talk about PWHL merch, or do we want to talk about this goaltending musical chairs that's going on in the league right now?
I think we get PWHL.
Alrighty. I'm ready to be mad. Okay? So PWHL merch was released this week. They worked in collaboration with Line Change Apparel, which is owned by a couple of hockey wives. I don't remember which ones. Yeah, so there's a couple of concerns about the merch. One of all, I think it's ugly. I want those black sweatshirts that all the players were wearing that had the team embroidered in the team color, because nothing besides the jerseys are in any of the team colors, which, by the way, that is primarily these teams' branding at this point. They have no logos and they have no name. So besides the city, which, by the way, it's very easy to find just Ottawa merch or Toronto merch, whatever. It's really easy to go out and buy a hat that says Ottawa on it. I live in Ottawa. You can walk into basically any souvenir shop in Byward Market and buy a hat that says Ottawa on it, and it's fine. And there's no logos, no nothing. So your main marketing thing, your main brand image right now for these teams is their team colors. And the fact that the only thing that has these team colors on it is the jerseys is ridiculous. Also, there's concerns about sizing as well. The sizing is limited from extra small to an extra large. Now, I am lucky enough that won't bother me. Like, I'm not the person who will be cut out from this sizing, but there's a lot of hockey fans and a lot of potential fans of the league who want the league to succeed really well, who are like, I can't buy any of this merch because it won't fit me. Also, I get it's women's hockey, and you're probably going to have a large majority of your fans are going to be women, because that's usually how it works, is the primary supporters of women's sports are women.
Yeah.
Right? But like, there's not a lot of unisex styles either.
No.
Like, anyways, I just am severely disappointed. It's like black and beige. Minnesota and Montreal have the same design for one of the items, because it's just like the first letter of the team location. It's just M, and it's like, how, like, okay, you're gonna go to a Montreal and Minnesota game because they're playing games, and you're just gonna, like, also it's expensive as fuck for, like,
I was looking at the prices. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Like, not that I was expecting to buy any merch, because honestly, I really wasn't, unless there was something I really, really liked, because I honestly want something that has logos and branding and things like that. But it's like, it's so basic to the point where it's like, no one is going to ask me about the hockey team that I'm wearing. And that's what I would want if I was, the part of the marketing and the design team, the promotions team of the PWHL. Is the way you're going to grow your game, grow your sport, and grow your league is by people, like, word of mouth is going to be a huge deal. And if no one's going to come up to me and be like, hey, I'm a fan of hockey, but, like, I didn't know Ottawa had, like, a third hockey team. Like, what is this team? And then you get to explain. I'm like, oh, it's a professional women's hockey team that play, like, they play in Ottawa, and there's, like, it's a new league that they're starting, and it's professional women's hockey. Like, you should go check out a game.
Yeah, it's like,
it's not happening
if it's just a big fucking, just M.
Yeah, no, or big O or whatever. I'm like, I can, like, it's one of those things where I'm just like, also, it's all in, like, black, white, and beige. I'm like, give me some color. And because, like, some of the team colors are actually really wearable.
Yeah.
Like, I'd wear those colors. Like, Boston's green, I'd wear that color. Montreal's like maroon, I'd wear that color. New York's teal, I'd wear that color. Like, Toronto's blue, I'd wear these colors in my, like, I'm not a huge red wearer, just in my general wardrobe, but, like, if there was a nice, I'm always willing to bring new colors into my wardrobe.
Yeah.
I just, usually red is not the color I reach for when I go shop for clothing. But, like, that's the thing. It's like, there's nothing, anyways, like I said, your main branding is your team colors, and it doesn't exist. And that's my qualms about the merch. I have a couple of other things to raise.
It gets
I'm
worse.
sorry. Buckle in. We're going to be here a while. I'm very passionate about this because I live in a city where, we're getting a team, and I'm really excited to watch this league succeed. And I'm really excited for another team for me to go watch and see, and especially because they're playing in TD Place, which is way more accessible for me personally than the Canadian Tire Center, and the tickets are somewhat cheaper. But so this was from an Ian Kennedy article that then was posted. Apparently, players have voiced their concerns. Players have reported overwhelmingly positive experiences early on with their PWHL clubs at the team level, but there are a few items that are beginning to draw concern among the player pool. The first is a waiver the league is asking players to sign, freeing the PWHL from all liability for the duration of the 8-year collective agreement. The liability agreement would not allow individual players or collective groups to seek legal recourse against the league and teams for any reason. The second concern being voiced by players is that most across the league have not been paid yet. Some players released in the initial waiver period were not paid the $500 per week guaranteed in the collective bargaining agreement, and many players across the league have yet to receive any payment more than a month after joining their teams. So your players not getting paid is not a good sign. Because there's some pretty big names that are signed to teams right now that are playing in this league. You have Marie-Philip Poulin, you have Hillary Knight, you have Hillary Knight is playing, right? She's on a team. Natalie Spooner, like you have Sarah Nurse. Like Sarah Nurse is on the cover of a fucking NHL game, for goodness sake. Like you have some big names in this sport from the women's side, and if they're not getting paid, that's a problem. And maybe those players are getting paid, and it's the smaller, it's not smaller players, but it's the less well-known players. It's the players that are, signed to those 1-year contracts, whatever, and not the 3-year contracts. But so
yeah,
that's
it's as well. It's like if this was happening.
In a men's league
NHL team, or like
there would
be any form of men's hockey.
There would be uproar.
Like as soon as it came out, you'd have everyone reporting on it. Everyone would be like, "This is unacceptable. You can't be doing this." Like,
yeah,
but no.
Yeah.
I wonder why no one's saying anything about it.
Now, apparently, Brian Burke, who is on the board of directors for the league, has been, contacted and asked about, this sort of situation, and he has said that all players have been paid. Who knows if he's telling the truth? Again, this could be we don't know. We have no proof. No players are saying anything. I'm sure they're not allowed to say anything. But some other news as well. So that's about that issue. We also have the first game that will be broadcasted. So the season opener, which is against Toronto and New York on January 1st, will be broadcasted on CBC, which is a Canadian broadcaster. They will also have a pre-game panel that starts 30 minutes before the game starts, which is great if you're a Canadian fan, because CBC is free to watch in Canada. If you are not a Canadian fan and you do not live in Canada, that's tough luck. I do not know how you could watch this game. You may be able to get some sort of illegal stream with a VPN or some sort, but I don't know if you're like, 'cause it's not like it's two Canadian teams. It's Montreal, it's Toronto and New York. So you're going to have American fans, and they can't watch the game because, right? Like,
it's
so we at least have one game for the first broadcast, but that's the only problem with it being on CBC. There is also CBC is expected to be the season-long broadcast partner. Again, that also means unsure if there will be an American counterpart to that. That has yet to be announced. So again, unsure on how American fans will be able to watch. For Canadian fans, though, if the broadcast partner is CBC, it is really easy for you to watch. CBC has a wonderful app that allows you to access all of their programming for free if you live in Canada. So
yeah, I'm gonna have so much fun scouring the internet.
But there also is going to be French language broadcasting on RDS in Quebec for all of that as well. But yeah, also as well, like ticket sales continue to just sell out. Toronto has sold out all of their regular season games. Not all their home games as well. Ottawa's will be sold out for the home opener. Boston and New York look like the slowest among the early sales. I think also just because it's in Lowell and Bridgeport, aka not Boston or New York. So it's a little bit more difficult for fans to get out there. I think that's part of it. But yeah, so that's my PWHL update, because we want to cover all aspects of hockey here on From the Fourth Line.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, a goaltending carousel. There's a lot of moves being happened in goalie land right now. I think a lot of teams are reportedly a lot of teams are now on the goalie market looking for some goaltending, as a lot of injuries has hit goalies this in the past week. But then also, of course, there's some moves being made in Carolina. Carolina put Ranta on waivers, and he was sent down to the AHL. He cleared waivers. That was a huge story because because that means that the Carolina Hurricanes had to call up their next in line, which was Yaniv Perez from their ECHL affiliate, the Norfolk Admirals. But in the good news for Carolina, Freddie Anderson has now been medically cleared to return to skating. His expected return is to be in about a month to playing in games, which is much faster than was anticipated. I know last time we talked about Anderson, it was more talk about
like a season over.
Yeah, regular season without him. But if he could, him coming back before the All-Star break, maybe potentially could make things positive for the Hurricanes. We'll see, could they turn this season around? Who knows? For them. And then in Dallas, Jake Ottinger left the game on Friday injured. There's been no further news about his status. Besides the fact that Dallas had to call up Matt Murray, not that Matt Murray. There's another. There's two Matt Murray goaltenders who played NHL games. One of them is on LTIR with the Leafs. The other one is Matt Murray, who is in the Dallas Stars system and was called up on emergency basis from the Texas Stars, which is their AHL affiliate. And then in LA, Phoenix Copley for the LA Kings was placed on LTIR. And then we have some good news, though. Jacob Markstrom for the Calgary Flames was removed from IR this past week. And in return, Dustin Wolf was sent back down to the Wranglers, which is their AHL affiliate. I saw his one game, the highlights from that. He did pretty well up here. I don't know how many. I don't think he played that many games while he was up here, but I do know he played one and actually did a pretty decent job. But yeah, so also as well, there's been no. Alex Lyon had to leave the game this past weekend, and there's been no update on his condition as well in Detroit. But in Detroit, though, while we're speaking about Detroit, Dylan Larkin is expected to make a return to the lineup tonight.
Yay!
So, yeah, no news about Alex Lyon, though, however, regarding. But they don't, yeah, so.
It's a rough time for goalie enjoyers right now.
Yeah, everyone, a lot of people are getting. But yeah, I know you wanted to talk about the Sabres, and then we can close out the episode, I think.
Yeah.
See, usually I do all this talking, and then as a treat, I give Marcie time to talk about her Sabres, so.
Yeah, you let me complain. Again.
Oh, wait, actually, can I get one in, though, about the Wild and Marc-Andre Fleury?
You're allowed your little Wild segment. I can have a little Sabres minute.
So, as you guys know, I'm slowly becoming a Minnesota Wild fan. They're just so endearing to watch. So they play tonight against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Again, marks another return to potentially Marc-Andre Fleury's last time playing against his former team, in which he won two Stanley Cups with. Yeah. 3, 2, 3. He was there for 3, right?
Yeah.
Yes, because then it was the year after that he was then. Anyway, doesn't matter. He was there for a long time. Was part of that core group of guys at the time of Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and Fleury. They were all about the same age as well. But so he is not going to be the starter tonight. Tonight's game against that will go to Gustafsson. Apparently, now he spoke to the media and said that, he spoke to the media and said he's a little bit disappointed on not starting against Pittsburgh tonight. He still looks forward to playing against Boston on Wednesday. That's okay. I get to play tomorrow. Team's been good. Team's been winning lately. Gus has been awesome. I know people he has said in the past that he doesn't enjoy starting against Pittsburgh. It's his former team. He is still pretty good friends with a lot of the guys on the team, and it's hard. I know, but it is a little bit unfortunate because it could. Now, he has not said anything about him retiring at the end of the season, but a lot of people are treating it as he might retire at the end of the season, and so it could be the last time in a lot of these cities that we see Marc-Andre Fleury play hockey. You saw the standing ovation that he got in Montreal when he started there, so maybe we'll see something similar. But yeah.
Yeah, like he's a lot better than me, because if I was going to play against the team who I spent most of my career with and won 3 Stanley Cups with, and it was very likely or very possible that I was going to retire at the end of the season, if I was going back and everyone knew how much I loved spending time there and playing there, and then they were like, oh yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, we're not actually gonna start you. You would see me on the news.
Yeah. So now we are like totally unsure about maybe there was a conversation between John Hynes and Marc-Andre Fleury about this, about whatever, but Gustafsson has been actually playing pretty well lately for the Wild, and they haven't had a terrible run either. But yeah, so that's just my little Wild update. Also, hey, dear Minnesota Wild, stop killing Brock Faber, please. He's had back-to-back games with 30+ minutes of ice time. You're killing the kid. He is among like 6 players who have played more than 30 minutes of ice time in regulation this season. Surprisingly, Morgan Rielly is not one of them. I feel like at one point we will get there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, poor guy, because Spurgeon is out, Broden's out, so like there's a lot of guys out right now for Minnesota on their blue line. So you've got like top pair Middleton and Brock Faber, and Brock Faber is putting in the work. Poor thing.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so stop, like, please, can we make sure he gets through so gross. Like, this poor guy. Oh god.
Like,
obviously,
like, oh yeah, I'm excited about playing, and then he has like 30 minutes, 2 games running. He's like, you know what, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't want to do this.
But yeah, so anyways, that's my little Minnesota Wild update. Now Marcie gets to talk about the Sabres.
Oh!
Okay, it's Devin Levi rant incoming.
This team is genuinely aging me quicker than I should be. The thing is, I know everyone. I feel like everyone's gonna think I'm like hating on Devin Levi. I'm not. I love him. I think he's great. I also think that one very brief stint in the AHL does not mean that he's developed enough to come back up and stay. But like, with the way it's looking, like, you can't send him down for a couple of games and then just bring him back and be like, yeah, everything's fine, everything's like so fine. But it's like, if you're gonna keep him up, that's gonna harm him, because, again, as I've said a billion times before, he's not getting the development he needs. Like, at this point, like, yes, he's really good at the moment, and he's had some, I think, like, he's won 3 of his last 5. I think 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he's won 3 of his last 5. He's played well, and that's just making, like, everyone's like really hyping him up now, which, good for him, happy for him, but also that just means that they're just gonna keep playing him. And like, as with any goalie, if you play a goalie time and time again because they're like on a good streak, they're winning, they're playing really well, like, if you keep playing him, you're literally just gonna just play until he burns out, and then you're fucked. Because like, it's good in the short term because you are getting the wins and you're having like a goalie you can rely on. but it's not sustainable, and it's very much going to backfire very quick if you play a goalie who's not developed. If you play him like night after night, just like playing him until he burns out, it's going to make him miserable. It's going to make the team miserable because they're going to be able to like physically see just the decline of a really good young goaltender. And then it's like, again, you've got Luukkonen. Play him. Like, yes, they have. Ooh, he has lost 4 of his last 5, but in his defense, the fucking, like, whenever you play Levi, all the Sabres, they play pretty good. And then as soon as Luukkonen's in net, they're like, you know what? We're not going to defend today. We're going to have just our goalie against the entire opposition. And it makes me mad because you're not doing any of your goalies any favors. And I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Just trade Luukkonen. Like if they're gonna go down the route of playing Levi just constantly and then giving Luukkonen the occasional game, just trade him because he is really good. But the fact that he's not getting the like game time he deserves is not doing him any favors, because then he's just sitting on the bench. He's sitting in the press box. He's not playing. He's not able to develop in the NHL as he should be. Send it, like, everyone's looking for a goalie right now.
Oh yeah, like we just listed off. There's a lot of teams looking for goalies.
Like
right
everyone
now.
Is looking for a goalie right now. There are a billion fucking teams who would love to have him, who would appreciate him, and who would make sure that he gets the time he deserves. So it's I'm mad at the Sabres right now, as usual. I don't know why I stick with them.
As usual,
they stress me out so much.
Yeah. So I did actually just send this tweet to you. I just was doing a little feed refresh to see if there's any news before we end the episode. This is not a good story, unfortunately, that we have to end the podcast on. Actually, no. I have something we can follow up this week, so we don't end it on something depressing, because I just saw, former NHLer Martin Frk has been suspended 5 games for his high skate to Lawrence Pilou's neck area. This was in I think it's a Czech league and the video is not good. This was posted by TSN. It's not good at all. Like, this is, I'm trying to see now if so for those, because we don't have video on these podcasts, maybe we'll link this tweet in the show notes along with the Joseph Wool one, but to describe it a little bit to the people watching, Lawrence Pilou checks Frk into the boards in front of the bench, and his legs kick up, and he takes a couple, like, you know when you're like trying to get out of the pool and you kick your legs up, it looks something like that, and it's in the direction of Pilou's neck area. I hope I'm saying his last name right. Pilot neck area. He seems to be fine. Like he leaves the ice. There's no further news or update about his condition, so like they haven't said anything about whether not he's been injured.
You can't be kicking your legs around like that. No, there's
no.
That's not even like you ran into someone and you were trying to balance off. I'm fucking lying halfway across the fucking boards, and I'm sat like kicking my legs.
So anyway, but we do have some good news. Again, like I said, we are going to do a whole episode on World Juniors, but thought I would give an update as well because we did talk about a couple of things. Boston Bruins. So as we probably know, the Team Canada was short a forward in the announce, and it was all waiting on if certain NHL teams were going to be allowed to release was going to agree to release their players to play in World Junior. So Boston Bruins player Matt Poitras will be that 13th forward for Team Canada. It was announced today that he will be joining the lineup, and they're so good for the kid. I think that's a great experience for him to have. He has struggled as of late in the NHL, and I think maybe playing in that tournament over Christmas and over that stretch will be good for him. Not because I don't want to say because Boston won't miss him, but I think Boston will do just fine without him in the lineup, and it'll allow him to give him an opportunity that I think he really deserves. And also it'll add some NHL experience and some, that sort of big hit mentality to Team Canada that they don't have a lot of. I think Fraser Mitten is probably, one of the top guys in NHL games played among that roster before this edition. So, and he only played 4 start of this season. And I think he was kept to around 10 minutes of ice time a night. So, but yeah, so that's all, unless you have anything else to cover on the episode.
No, I think that is everything.
Alrighty.
Let's go.
Look at us go. This is way a longer one, but it's to make up to the fact that, we don't think we'll get one out for Thursday. And then, of course, if we don't get one out for Thursday, you'll get it Friday, and it'll be longer one as well. So a little bit, we also had a lot to go over. For as little as we had listed down, we had a lot to go over.
Yeah, I was looking at the amount of stuff we had for last episode compared to this.
I know. But a lot of the ones that I'd written down were just quick, little mentions. We had that sort of 32 thought style sort of speed round. But yeah, so thank you for listening. You can follow the show at From the Fourth Line. You can follow both of us on Twitter as well at PairB1 and at 60 Leafs. All that information is in the show notes, along with a couple, of course, obviously the links that we mentioned. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.